Good afternoon, Facebook family, and thank you so much for tuning into our Live Healthy Miami Gardens Facebook Live weekly health and wellness series, brought to you by the City of Miami Gardens, Live Healthy Miami Gardens, where our goal is to provide the community with information and resources to help them make the healthiest choices possible for themselves and their families. My name is Daphne Joseph. I'm the Community Clinical Linkage Coordinator with Trinity Church Peacemaker Family Service Center, and I will host today's episode where we will learn about mindfulness when it comes to the food that we consume, and we're going to have a little healthy recipe towards the end of the Facebook Live, so make sure you stay tuned. And just to give you a little overview of Live Healthy Miami Gardens, in which we were born from the realization that although health is largely influenced by individual choices and the conditions in our community where we live, work, and play, since 2014, Live Healthy Miami Gardens have worked with 110 stakeholders and 66 organizations focused on 5 impact areas, which is alcohol, tobacco, and other drugs, physical activity, healthy eating and nutrition, which we're targeting today, mental health, and physical health or primary health. So, just to introduce today's topic and cover 3 of those impact areas, which is primary health, physical activity, healthy eating, and nutrition. Emphasis on healthy eating and nutrition. The Clinical Linkage Initiative was funded by the CDC to ensure that the residents of Miami Gardens have access to the resources needed to improve chronic health conditions. And some of those conditions include type 2 diabetes, chronic obesity, heart disease, and many more. And may I emphasize that those are within the top 7 leading causes of death in the United States and compromises our immune system from defending viruses such as COVID-19. So today we're going to target a little bit about how our nutrition contributes to our immune system, our hearts, how we can defend ourselves or just live more of a preventative lifestyle to make sure that we're avoiding diseases or viruses or anything of that sort, just to make sure we're living healthy here in Miami Gardens. To introduce the team that I have brought to the table today, just to talk a little bit more about mindful eating, healthy eating, nutrition, and so forth, I have Jessica Alfonso and Jaylen Ruiz joining me here today. Hi, guys. How are you?
Hi, Daphne. Thank you for inviting us today. And thank you to Live Healthy Miami Gardens for sponsoring this live.
Yes, and thank you so much for even being a part of the live and just sharing all of the information that you have for us today. I just want to jump right into our questions and just get to know a little bit more about you guys. But I want to start with you, Jessica. So let us know a little bit about you, yourself, your background in relation to the work that you do.
Sure. So my name is Jessica Alfonso, and I'm a registered dietitian nutritionist. I am the EFNEP Miami-Dade County agent, and so I recently joined the University of Florida family, and it's been such a wonderful experience to be able to provide nutrition education to the community. And I have a wonderful team, one of them being Miss Jaylen Ruiz. I have a passionate team of nutrition educators who are eager to serve the community and really empower those who are looking for nutrition education.
Awesome, awesome. And what about you, Jalen? Tell us about yourself and what fuels your passion to teach nutrition education.
Okay, where do I start? Hello. Like you said, my name is Jaylen Ruiz, and I've been a nutrition educator for over a year now. Over a year now. So I was able to see Jessica take on the role, like first and foremost. So that was pretty exciting to see her do that. And as a team, we go out into the community, and my passion is to see our process, our progress with the individuals and participants that we reach in all these different cities, cities and counties in Miami-Dade. So that's my passion, seeing people grow using our program.
Okay, so just to chime in or dig into a little bit of what you said, Sharing your personal opinion, what do you feel is the most impactful area of the nutrition program?
Okay, well, personally, physical activity. I really, my face lit up when one of the five impacts of being here is physical activity. That's a component that we have in our classes. That there's an entire lesson dedicated to physical activity, and as well as eating right, being physically active is just as important to maintain our lifestyle, a healthy one.
Right, and I definitely agree with you. That definitely goes hand in hand with nutrition. Of course, you can't really do one without the other. And since we're talking about what's important or what you feel is the most impactful area of the program, for those that are not too familiar with the program, maybe one of you guys, maybe Jessica, can talk about a little bit more about the program, what it's about, and what individuals can expect when enrolling into the program.
Sure thing. So, our program is named EFNEP, which stands for Expanded Food and Nutrition Education Program. It's a national nutrition education program, and it's been around over 50 years. So, it's one of the leading programs in providing education to our community. We provide a series based encapsulating everything from essentials in food groups, physical activity, like Jalen said, the importance of calcium. We really are able to um, give participants a really nice basic foundation on nutrition and also ways to be safe within their household as far as food safety. We provide not only the direct education via online or in person, but we also provide incentives for those who join our programs. So we have um, fun things that help support the lesson that is being taught. So cutting boards, collapsible water bottles, recyclable shopping bags, you name it. So different things and different tools that you'll be able to apply the information that you learn in our classes. And then those who complete the series are eligible for a certificate of completion from the University of Florida EFNET program. And that's something that you can add to your resume. And it provides you a really nice foundation of nutrition knowledge and food safety knowledge.
Awesome. And I do want to add on to that since you mentioned some of the incentives that participants do receive for enrolling in the classes. And after each module, they do have or they receive incentives that correspond with the modules. I do want to add on that for finishing the program, well, let me rewind a little bit. With the CCL partnership that we have going on, of course, the enrollment process is done through myself as the CCL coordinator, and I then do the referral over to the FNEP program. For finishing the program, the CCL program is giving out gift cards. I'm not too sure if it's Amazon or if it's Walmart, but you do get a gift card for finishing the program and just putting forth your motivation and your passion to actually complete the program. So we are rewarding participants for completing the program. And just a really quick shout out, and I'm gonna mention this a couple times during this live. We do have our upcoming nutrition education class starting July 13th, which is next Wednesday. So if you are interested in gaining some of the information that Jessica and Jalen plan to share throughout this live, or if you just want a gift card, then you can call the phone number that you see going across the screen below, or you can email me and I will be more than happy to enroll you in the program. So yes, with that being said, let's continue with our Facebook Live. And for the individuals that are kind of contemplating joining our class that's starting on the 13th, maybe we can share some of the successes of the story. If you guys would like to share any of the great stories you've come across with your program.
Oh, I'll be glad to. So a big part of our program, a lot of the success stories that you had mentioned, Daphne, they come from personal success. They found that they were able to benefit personally, them and their families. I had a couple who were not sure how to give their child the food that they needed because they were so picky. They were so picky. They didn't know they like it was they couldn't have this, they couldn't have onions, they couldn't have this. So introducing the recipes over the weeks, they were able to give their child new foods that they had never tried before, and they were shocked. They were able to give them a bunch of recipes. Their children were able to eat a lot more healthier options because of just by changing the appearance of the food. Smoothies were a big part of their transformation. Let me just say that. Smoothies.
And just like Jalen mentioned, we obtained success stories from mostly all of our participants always write a little something about what they've gained out of this experience. And it's really nice that you see it in different areas. So some will make great improvements in physical activity. Some will mention that they learned how to save money when going to the grocery store and cutting their budget in half for food and being able to stretch those food dollars. Some of them practice different food safety techniques that they have never learned before. So like properly thawing meat, just different techniques like that. And so you get an array. And so not because they're a part of my team, but our nutrition educators are very passionate, and the feedback they receive from the participants and their ability to really relate to their real life and what matters to them is what's so special about this program.
I really enjoy it because then they reach out to me after the classes are over. We spend time with them, of course, and we're still available. So you're free to call us. You're free to call your teacher if you have any questions. And the phone line is always open if y'all have if anyone has any questions. And I do. I get a bunch of questions on nutrition labels or a physical activity that they want to try out or they're not sure. Just we're open.
Yeah,
we're open to our participants.
We try to be there for the community as best as we can, and we also try to empower them with the different resources that are available to them, different reliable, credible nutrition sources that they can feel empowered and able to refer back and do their own research too. So it's very special.
Yes, and I can definitely attest to that with the participants that do enroll in the program. They always say that they love the educator, they love the program, they love the variety that they're getting from the program, because a lot of people, I would say, biggest challenge, or that they would tell me is their biggest challenge enrolling into the program, is that they're not too sure about what they can eat when they're trying to change their diet. Variety is like their biggest challenge. So the fact that the program is introducing the variety, and let me just say, everyone knows the inflation that we're facing right now. Saving money at the grocery store is definitely a win-win there. So yes, that is definitely 3 key things that I can say from the program. Myself, I know is definitely a positive aspect, a gain, and just overall wonderful. So yes, enough with the talking. We have a recipe that you guys are going to share. So what is today's recipe?
So today we have 2 recipes, but they go hand in hand together. So the first one is Cowboy Caviar, and I don't know if anybody has heard about it. It's taken quite a liking to in TikTok, and it's been very viral lately. So we wanted to make sure that we empower you on how to make it and how to make it your own. So Cowboy Caviar is kind of like a nice snack. And it's like a bean dip and includes different vegetables. So if you're someone that is looking how to get more of that veggie intake, this is the recipe for you. And this is accompanied by the baked tortilla chips. And so we can go ahead and switch over to our food cam, and we can show you what we have ready for you today.
So is there any nutritional information that you have to share with us regarding the Cowboy Caviar?
Yes, I'll be happy to answer that if that's all right. And so right now we're transitioning to our food cam, so you'll see my hands. But the nutritional facts is actually printed out in our recipe sheet. So every week with our recipe, you'll be receiving this. It's a sheet of paper with the ingredients, the steps, and right next to it is a food label. So this food label is something that we study. So we have a separate, like an individual lesson dedicated to looking at a food label, which is a really big part in creating our recipes and looking at what we're eating exactly. So some things to list off here. We see fats, We see the different kinds of fats that are out there. We're going to talk a little bit about that in this time together. We have cholesterol, we have sodium, total fat. We also have sugars, total sugars, included sugars, and all the way at the bottom, vitamins and minerals. So please let me know if you can see that okay.
Yes, I can see it.
Okay.
It looks like we have 150 calories.
That is an overview of what we go over within our classes. And in this case, we're going to be looking at the serving size, which is half a cup, and that's the Cowboy Caviar. So we see our ingredients listed out here. Here, the recipe calls for kidney beans. That is, we use the can for that.
Yeah. So we use specifically whenever you're trying to be mindful of sodium, some things that you want to look for is reduced sodium products, or those who say no salt added. So we were able to find that for the kidney beans. We were not able to find that for the black beans, but just a quick tip, if you're looking to reduce some sodium, what you want to do is rinse and drain the liquid from the can, and that'll help reduce the sodium intake. So if you're not able to find that no salt added, that's not a problem because you're able to kind of modify that yourself. So we'll go over all the different ingredients that you see listed here. For our recipe, we use the 1 can of kidney beans, 1 can of black beans. We used 1 can of corn, 1 can of crushed tomatoes. We also used green chili. And so if you're someone that likes a little bit more of that spice, you can get the hot ones, but we've got mild today. We also have 3 limes, a tablespoon of vegetable oil of your choice, which in this case, we utilized olive oil. And then you can add salt and pepper to taste. Now, if you're curious about these recipes, all you have to do is search up EFNEP recipes on Google. It'll be the first search item that you find, and it gives you a whole database on all of our different recipes. So if that's something you want to look for, you can find the Cowboy Caviar and the baked tortilla chips. For the tortilla chips, we used only whole wheat tortillas, and it just called for that, and cooking spray and salt. So we're going to go over how we get this recipe put together. It's very simple, and if you're someone that really prefers specific vegetables, or if you want to get creative, this recipe allows for that. It allows for you to, maybe you're not a huge fan of kidney beans, but you can substitute them for black-eyed peas. So it's very versatile in that nature, and you can add different herbs that you like, such as cilantro or parsley and so on. So all you do is you open the can of black beans, corn, and kidney beans. You wash, you rinse them, and you drain them, and you put them in the bowl. And then you're going to add your crushed tomatoes. You're going to add your green chilies. You're going to add your red onions, or whichever onion you prefer. You squeeze 3 limes and obtain the juice, and you put it in the bowl. And then you add the vegetable oil of your choice, which in this case we used olive oil, and salt and pepper to taste. Now, let's say you're someone that loves like green peppers, red peppers, orange peppers. Those are something that you can add on to this. Let's say you want to add some avocados.
Oh, that sounds good.
Avocados are where they're at. So you can absolutely add to that, and you can make it very much your own. I've also seen this recipe adapted to add mangoes, and mangoes are very much in season now. So if you want to give it a little bit of a tropical touch, that's something that you can do. What we really like about this recipe is, like we mentioned, it's very versatile, and it's a quick and easy snack. And if you are doing like a get-together with maybe loved ones, this is something that you can prepare together, a nice, quick and easy dip, and put it out. And it allows for people to have a more healthful option. And in today's theme, we're really talking about being mindful. And here you're really getting a great source of fiber with the beans, right? You're getting corn, which is you're getting your veggie in. You have your onions there too. You got your tomatoes, which is your nice little fruit component, your chilies. And then you're being very mindful when you're adding the salt, right? And when you're choosing these canned products, you're being mindful in making sure you either buy no salt or reduced sodium products, or you're rinsing and draining the sodium off of the beans.
So that's something to keep in mind also. So in cans, we know how high the content is depending on the percentage, which is called daily value. That's something we'll touch base on later on. But canned tomatoes or canned beans, a lot of the sodium comes from the liquid inside. So if you do notice, okay, it doesn't say reduced sodium, it doesn't say no salt added, it would be better to drain it. And that would help tremendously with reducing the sodium of the cans. So, like Jessica mentioned, this is high in fiber because of the beans and the vegetables here. This is also high in potassium, and we can find that it's colorful. So you're getting a variety of vegetables in this meal or snack.
Yes,
In
absolutely.
this case.
That was a really good tidbit. I did not know that you can actually rinse the canned item to reduce the sodium. That was really good. So if anyone that has high blood pressure or pre-hypertensive and wants to lower their sodium intake, then that is a really good tidbit. And in regards to high blood pressure, I want to share a tidbit that I know of myself that potassium actually helps lower the blood pressure. So that the fact that this meal is high in potassium is really great. And yeah, I love it all. So yeah, I do want to ask one question since we're talking about
Sure.
sodium and glucose. Why is it important to be mindful of sodium intake and glucose intake and what it does to the body?
Sure. So I can take that away. Sodium specific plays an intricate role in our body. It helps allow for fluid balance. So sodium is very much a needed thing. But what happens is that typically in American diets, we consume too much of sodium. And so too much of sodium can cause higher risk for cardiovascular disease, heart disease. It could cause higher risk for stroke and heart attacks. So it's things to be mindful when we're eating is that sodium is important, but you want to stay under the 2,300 milligram mark or as determined by your physician or registered dietitian. But in general, you want to stay under the 2,300 milligram mark so that way you're not overdoing it and that way you're not in risk of all of these unfavorable conditions. And as far as glucose, also provides different unfavorable health consequences. It could lead to some cancers. It could lead to, this is over in excessive amounts over time, right? This could lead to unfavorable weight gain. So there are some different things to be mindful of. And of course, if you're someone that is trying to be mindful of blood glucose, it'll spike if we have too much sugar, right? So those are different, just to name a few, there are a lot of unfavorable consequences that come with too much of anything, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we really want to emphasize and empower you all to make decisions that serve your body, right? That are allowing your body to function in a way that is going to give you longevity, is going to give you energy without excess negative consequences. So that's, touching upon on some of the things that you can do. It is absolutely doable to live a lifestyle that is still provides lots of variety, but still is mindful of those two areas.
Awesome. And thank you so much for that information. And in regards to sodium and glucose intake, what about the different kinds of fats? Asking for myself because I always get the different kinds of fats confused. Which one are good? Which one are bad? Which one should I limit? So what are the differences between the trans fats, saturated and unsaturated fats?
Sure. So I'm happy to cover that. So fats usually gets a bad rep, but it's quite essential for our body and body functions. It helps support cell function. It helps cushion our organs. It helps keeps our body warm. It helps gives us energy. So there's a lot of different roles that fats play in our body, but really learning how to pick fats that are more favorable is definitely advantageous. So you really want to replace saturated fats, which are usually come from animal sources. It usually comes from coconut oil, and it usually comes from palm and kernel oil. You want to not eat those as often. You want to limit those, and you also want to limit trans fat, which is
your hydrogenated vegetable oil, so that you want to keep an eye on your ingredient list, and any kind of shortening or baked goods and pastries. So those are something that you want to be mindful of, and replace those kinds of fats with mono and poly unsaturated fats. Okay, and your best bet is to look at the label. And so Jaylen can go over the label so that you can kind of see, whether something is high or low in a particular category of fat. But some little tips about mono and polyunsaturated fat is that it's really heart healthy. It reduces the bad cholesterol. It reduces risk for heart disease and stroke. Polyunsaturated fat in specific has high sources of omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acid, which is also beneficial for our heart health. And monounsaturated and polyunsaturated are a good source of vitamin E, which is an antioxidant that is very helpful for our body's functions. Some examples of mono and polyunsaturated fat: your olive oil, your peanut oil, your safflower oil, your sesame oil. Those fall under the monounsaturated fat. And your poly is more so like your soybean oil and your corn oil, sunflower oil. So those are different ones that you can be mindful of. When you're cooking, though, you want to be mindful of which oil you choose, because different oils have different smoke points. And what that means is that each oil has a degree that they can get cooked up to. And then once it passes that degree, it starts to smoke. And that's happened to me in the kitchen. If I'm cooking in a rush and you start seeing the smoke come out, that's because it's denaturing, right? And so it's not as advantageous. So if you're cooking like sauteing on a low heat, you can use olive oil. If you're using like a more medium heat, you want to use like canola oil or corn oil. And if you're cooking on high heat, you want to use products like avocado oil or soy oil, because they can take a little bit higher temperatures. So that's something to be mindful of. And so Jaylen's going to kind of go over how do you know if something is high or low in fat, so that way you can be mindful. We're going to use one of our cans as an example.
Yep, we're going to be using black beans in this case. But as I mentioned before, food labels can be found in any can. The way that it's organized here, I'm like using this as a guide over here. There you go. All right, let's see. We'll make it work. So I'm going to read it off for you so you can have a better idea of what I'm looking at. So in this case, we're going to focus on the percentage column here. Alrighty, so if you look all through here, each of these nutrients has a percentage. This is what's called the daily value. Now, the idea is that we should have 100%, alrighty, at the end of the day. That way we receive all the benefits of the food that we've eaten. So there are nutrients that it's great that we have a lot of. That includes our vitamins and minerals, which are down here. So we have vitamin D in this case. We have calcium, potassium, we have iron there. So those are examples of good nutrients. Now, nutrients that we should limit, it would be great if we can have less than 100%.
Yeah. Less 100% or less, but you really want to focus on less on items such as sodium, fat, sugars. Those are areas where you want to get less. And how do you know if something is high or low in a particular nutrient, Jaylen?
That is such a great question, Jessica. So the rule is 5%, 20%. So looking at this column here, right? Imagine if we're looking at saturated fat, which we call the nutrient we should limit. If it's 20% or high, it's considered high in the nutrient. I'm gonna make it better here. Hold on. Sorry about this. There we go. And if it's 5% or low, it's considered low. All right. So depending on the nutrient, that could be a good thing or a bad thing. So if here saturated fat, if I want evidence here so that you guys can see what I see. That's better. So saturated fat, it says 0 grams, 0%. So it doesn't have any.
Yeah, so it's a great heart healthy option, and these are beans. So we know that beans are a very heart healthy option, and they're high in fiber. You see here it says 21% in dietary fiber. So we know that for that serving size, it's high in that particular nutrient. And something else to notice too, if you see total fat, you see it says 0.5. but it's not from saturated and it's not from trans. So that means it must be under monounsaturated or polyunsaturated. So you know that you're in a good spot, and that's a very heart healthy option. For sodium, for example, it's a little bit higher. So here it is 16%. So we know 20% or higher is high, but we know that this is leaning more towards on the high than low. So what you want to do is, like we talked about earlier, is rinse these beans, drain these beans, and that'll help reduce the sodium by a lot. So those are different ways that you can just be mindful of the oils that you choose and the fats that you choose, and how to make decisions with your food choices that empower you and that you're able to select foods that will serve your body. So this is a great tip when comparing different food labels together. So say you have two products and you want to pick the best choice, the percent daily value is the way to go.
If I want to demonstrate that here, since we're talking about it, if we're just looking at sodium, the red can, the kidney beans that said reduce sodium in the fat, it's 0 milligrams, 0. So if we're just looking at the sodium, this would be the kidney beans. Oh, my bad. The kidney beans would be a better choice if we wanted to avoid consuming a whole bunch of sodium. However, a way to reduce it on our own, just what if it's expensive? What if we can't? What if we're a little low, we don't have enough in our budget right now? Drain.
Yeah.
Easy way.
Absolutely.
Easy way.
Wow, you guys, this is so much information. I might just have to save this live and come back to it a couple times. There's just so much great information that you guys are sharing. Thank you so much. And for our viewers that may feel the same way, like, oh my gosh, this is so much great information and I want to learn more. As I mentioned before, we do have a nutrition class that is starting July 13th, which is this coming next Wednesday. And it is in the morning time, 10 a.m. And we're doing the registration for that class. So you can reach out to me with the information you see going across very slowly below the screen. That is my email, that is my phone number. You can call me, email me, and just let me know that you are interested in all of the great information that you just heard here today, but more in an in-depth way. And I will be more than happy to enroll you in our upcoming nutrition class. And you will get to see the beautiful faces that you see here on Zoom because the class is virtual. So yes, so I don't want to keep our viewers waiting. Let's get into this cooking demonstration.
Sure. So we very quickly, we prepared everything that's here today, and we made it very quick and easy because this is such a simple recipe. We're good. This is such a simple recipe. It's one of those dump and stir recipes, which we know we love because if you're pressed for time, you want a quick snack for work, especially if you're going to school, you want something that's going to sustain you, give you energy. And, you know, this specifically is high in fiber, and that we know that fiber helps us stay full longer. So that's a wonderful perk. So we did we prepared the food activity and we were able to, if you can see here, this is what it looks like. So this is the baked tortilla chips with the bean dip. And again, you can make this your own. So if this is something that you want to add different vegetables, different herbs, you can get creative. I saw some different tips on like adding some spice. So you can use the hot chilies, you can use hot sauce if you like a little bit more of a spice. And the baked tortilla chips is also like a really quick, easy thing that you can do the day before. You can do it in the oven, you can do it in the air fryer. I know the air fryer is very popular nowadays. And like I mentioned, you can find this recipe on our website. So if you just type in EFNEP recipes, it pops up right on your search bar. So this is something that you can easily put together. So we have it there so that you can see that this is absolutely an attainable snack. You can make it your own. And we want to make sure, like I mentioned, and I always mention, that our food is serving us, right? So that we can function and we can go through our daily lives and feel energized and ready for the day.
Awesome. And just to be sure of how to make the recipe, We're just grabbing scoops of the different ingredients that we see in front of us, the corn, the onions, beans, and just we're blending them together. Are we putting them inside of the tortilla chips?
So what you do is it's canned recipes. So you put the whole can in the bowl, the whole can of tomatoes in the bowl, the whole can of kidney and black beans, the whole can of the green chilies. And then you're putting the olive oil and the 3 limes in the bowl. And then you're adding salt and pepper to taste. So you just dump, stir, scoop, and you're done.
Awesome. Thank you so much for that. I am going to try this as soon as we get off of the live because it looks so beautiful and it's so colorful. And I know we were mentioning before that families, especially when there's kids in the house and they don't want to eat foods that are too green or too whatever the color is because it just looks nasty. This looks great. So thank you so much for that. And I just want to ask one last question before we end our live. So we're talking about changing our diets, being mindful and healthy and so forth. But of course, making lifestyle changes can be somewhat of a challenge. So is there any tips or advice that you have for our viewers that are trying to be a little bit more mindful with the food they consume, but they're having a hard time making that change?
Sure. So the biggest advice that I can possibly give you is start, even if it's something small. All these small changes that you make to your diet lead to huge and significant results. So start small. You don't have to overwhelm yourself with redoing your complete diet tomorrow, right? It could be that analyzing and reflecting what meat do I want to focus on first and start from there and chipping away. And with time, we know that that'll lead to positive behavioral changes. So our program is series based, meaning we meet multiple times because we know that when we're reviewing the education, when we're talking about it, goal setting, being able to apply the information that we learned each week, all of that time counts towards behavioral change because we keep on working at it. And so the best thing that I can tell you is to start small and to be consistent, right? To do little things every day that will help serve your body in a way that is positive. So like I mentioned, starting with your meal that you're thinking, I never get time to prepare myself a healthy breakfast. Let me start there. And then with time, once you have that under your belt and you feel confident, being able to move on towards lunch or snacks. Little by little, you'll be able to chip away and really meet your health goals.
And if I may add, in regards to the bigger picture, at the end, this is for our overall healthy lifestyle. What can we do to make it better? What can we do to make it better for ourselves? So something that I always encourage people that I meet is to start small, to start in things that they know that, like, okay, this is easy, this is nothing. Otherwise, it would seem like a whole mountain to climb. Well, what's the saying? A hill at a time? I'm not sure. I don't think there's a saying for that. But just to start small, and in ways that you know that you can do it, because each person has their own style. Each person has the things that they need. So that I think that's a really important thing to take away from our classes, for sure.
Absolutely.
Yes, definitely. I love that you're saying to start small and just create those behavioral changes one step at a time. Just baby steps, no matter how small, but slowly but surely, you'll see yourself making a larger change later on down the line. And if you do look at this from a behavioral aspect, it does take time for you to practice certain behaviors in order for it to be a part of your lifestyle and to make an overall change within your daily habits. So yes, thank you so much for the advice that you've given, for this beautiful and recipe that just looks so good, and I'm so excited to try. And yes, we have come to the end of our time together, but I do want to throw out again, we do have a nutrition class that is starting July 13th. It is in the morning time, 10 a.m. It is virtual. It's once a week for 1 hour. with the nutrition educators that we see here today. If you are interested in joining that class, please use the information that you see below, or even if you have questions about our live here today, you can still use the information that you see below. I will be more than happy to answer any questions that you may have, even if you have questions about the class. You want to join a class, but you're not too sure, and you just want to make sure it's right for you, please reach out. And do not waste any time. Do not wait, because we have way more recipes to share with you guys. And with all of that being said, thank you so much for joining us. I do want to make sure, Jessica, Jalen, you don't have any more tips or any words that you want to close us out with before we end the live completely.
Sure. So I just wanted to say thank you so much to Daphenie for inviting us. We've created such a wonderful partnership with CCL, and we're looking forward to all the awesome cohorts in the future. And thank you to Live Healthy Miami Gardens for providing this platform and allowing us to reach the community in a way that is convenient and fun. And so thank you so much.
And thank you so much for being here today. And thank you to our viewers for joining us here today and just sharing as we share information with each other. And with that all being said, have a wonderful Tuesday, everyone.